Happy Friday, and welcome here to another edition of Husker Online Headlines. A busy weekend, a busy Friday, but we found time to get this show in, and we got a full plate over the rest of the day. And before we get into the show, we're brought to you by our title sponsor, StayHome.Care. They're there for you, the loved ones in your life. It's never too early to call StayHome.Care. If you got a loved one that needs assistance, that needs help, call them. Find out more about what they can do for you and your family. That's StayHome.Care at 402-205-2233. Again, that's 402-205-2233. But let's get into it. Headline number one, 12 national level 7-on-7 teams make their way into Lincoln for the Boneyard Bash as Nebraska gets ready for this big event that I think they really have high hopes for. But, I mean, you've got teams from all over the country. You know, I'm looking through these rosters of guys we know, obviously Chicago, Kansas City. You've got Cam Newton's team here. Just a number of national teams. A Miami team is here as well. I mean, you can go down the line. There's a lot of players that will be making their first ever trips to Nebraska. And I think the hope is, hey, we can get players to this campus that maybe wouldn't have come here when they're younger. And hopefully this experience could lead to, number one, a better scouting evaluation and a return trip.
Yeah, it's unique what's happening this weekend. I hope people understand that this is a 7-on-7 event. And I mean, not officially in conjunction with a official visitor weekend, but it coincides with a official visitor weekend. And I think, Sean, this is Matt Rule doing what he can, whatever's necessary, being innovative, and trying just to advance the talent level, the overall talent level. It's very possible when you get all these kids, and a lot of these guys in the 7-on-7 event are going to be 2027, 2028 guys, right? Not 2026. So it's not an immediate, there's not an immediacy right now, but you're looking down the line. And Sean, if they're here, they see the new turf, they see the field, they interact with the coaches, they see the city. You might pick off a couple guys, right?
Oh, yeah. And some of these teams, I mean, they're big branded programs like this Ford Sports Performance team. That's Tracy Ford's team they're the top program for 7-on-7 in the Pacific Northwest.
Okay.
Cam Newton's team is here.
C1N.
That's a team to watch in terms of players that were brought in. NPA Dream Team. I mean, these are highly sponsored, big time Adidas rosters. And, you know, a lot of fans may not know some of these players because they're younger, but these are players like a year or two from now, we're gonna be like, wow, these guys were here at that camp. And it's an opportunity for Nebraska you would hope to build. Now, there's a couple local, more flavored roster teams, but I would say there's probably 5 really elite national level rosters here.
And you mentioned some local flavor like Torrey Pittman. He's on it's called DOMO. He's on that roster, the Omaha Central Star player.
Abdul Muhammad apparently looks like he must be helping coach one of the teams too, where a few Central players are playing with Georgia players on the roster. And that's 7-on-7. You kind of have players kind of play on different teams. Trey Taylor's going to play for a team.
See, this is more your purview, but I would say 7-on-7. This is sort of a phenomenon now. 7-on-7 in the college football game, it's bigger now. These travel teams. Sean, do you look at it? I kind of look at it like it's like the club volleyball or AAU basketball circuit, which football hasn't always had, right?
Here's the difference, though. College coaches normally cannot attend 7-on-7 events.
Okay.
So it's a
little different.
When you play these weekend tournaments in February and January and March.
What about summer?
There's some in the summer too, but there's a big circuit more in the spring.
Okay.
And when that's going on, like, coaches aren't allowed to go to these things. So if that was the case, it'd be different. But so I get
what you're saying.
We're going to hear from Dayton Raiola later, but I get why, like, there's some people that aren't all in on it because it is like a different type of football. But it is heavily sponsored. If you're on these right teams, it's no different than AAU basketball, like Nike or Adidas or Under Armour. In this case here, Adidas, they can fully sponsor, specific 7-on-7 program.
Well, I think Adidas is Nebraska is an Adidas school. Adidas is sponsoring this event. I mean, Adidas is really the driving force behind this, wouldn't you say? Adidas,
Adidas's name and then their connection to these Adidas programs,
right,
is the real, driver to get those national teams here.
They're able to do it. I don't mean to take away Matt Rule's steam. I mean, this is a pretty unique thing that Nebraska's doing, and it's just a huge weekend with 9 official visitors or 10 official visitors on campus, and then this huddle summit, recruiting summit. This is, again, it's Nebraska trying all it can do to enhance its talent profile, which is needed.
So you'll have pool games though that go from 1 to about 5, and then at 5:45 the playoffs begin, and they've opened the stadium up even tonight for this event where the first 500 people get food and hot dogs and T-shirts to show up. Just trying to draw some more eyeballs, but the championship game will end about 8:30. It starts at 7:45.
So we're heading over there. I mean, there's a lot to watch actually, but Trey Taylor is probably the main thing I want to see is what that picture looks like. Trey Taylor was here last week on Sunday for Nebraska for a camp. He's going to participate in the 7-on-7 event, and then he'll be on hand on Sunday again for a camp. I mean, it's a busy week for the young man.
Yeah, he's been, like you said, he's been here all week. Dayton Raiola's in town.
Yeah,
the official visitor weekend. I mean, there is so much going on, and that's where I'm going to go to our next headline. Let's take it to headline number 2. But again, we're brought to you by StayHome.Care. Call them at 402-205-2233 to learn more about what they can do for you and your loved ones. That's StayHome.Care. We're also brought to you by one of our newest sponsors of the show, Billings Group. They're a trio of financial advisors made up of Lance and his 2 son-in-laws, Josh and Nate. Yep, son-in-laws, 2 of them. They're based in one of Steve Sipple's favorite cities in America, Salina, Kansas, because somebody has to do it. And they serve clients in more than 10 states, including places you actually have heard of, like Nebraska, Colorado, and Texas. They do financial advising, coaching, investment management, basically all the stuff you should be doing with your money, but many of you probably are not. Nate's a lifelong Nebraska fan, a longtime listener to the show. So if you ever watch Nebraska football or the stock market, both can be emotional roller coasters. And that's why Billings Group is here to walk you through the highs and the lows. Billings Group is financial advisors by your side for life's journey. They don't offer therapy, but they are good listeners. Sounds like our post-game show sometimes.
Yes, it does, Sean.
Visit them at billingsgroup.com. Security is offered by registered representatives through Private Client Services, member FRC. SIPC advisory services offered by investment advisory representatives through RFG Advisory, registered investment advisor, RFG Advisory, Billings Group, and Private Client Services are unaffiliated entities. I'm going to try to do that as fast as I can every time.
You do it well.
It's like I've decided it's going to be like a new thing. How fast can I get that?
I've heard you do it on the radio, and I thought they just sped up the sound. I just thought it was like something you do computer.
I produce those in my basement.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just
what I'm talking about on the radio, right?
The Koppel ads. But yeah, that's the security disclaimers on these are a lot.
I would say that to me, you being able to do that is like dunking a basketball. There's no way I can dunk a basketball. I'm 5'8". And I don't think I'm capable of doing that.
I'm going to get better at that one. Like that I've got like 3 reps on that. We got all the next couple months to knock that one out.
That was pretty good. All right, let's talk official visitors.
For Nebraska, first and foremost, they are going to have a huge official visitor weekend going on. Nebraska, roughly, I believe it's 9 or 10. We might have had one guy fall off the list that committed to A&M.
A strong safety.
But for Nebraska, it is still going to be a really good visitor list. Kevin Obot, who is a number 78 in the top 100 out of Idaho, the top player in Idaho, will be here. CJ Brownell, who is committed to Nebraska, but is being heavily courted by others. High 4-star. He's here. Then you have another 4-star, Brian Bonner, a running back. And a lot of questions about running back. Why about Nelson Wheeler? Well, this is why. They've got guys like Brian Bonner who are their key targets at the running back position.
You know what, Sean? 4 of the visitors, we're saying 4 of 9, are offensive linemen. You mentioned Kelvin Obot. Now, up in Idaho, of course, Obot, you got to wrestle him from who?
Oregon.
Yeah. But Nebraska it looks like they're in pretty good shape for him.
Yeah, Oregon's reach, though, really does span that Northwest. But Oregon can do what they want. I mean, we know they're
Right.
NIL, as Mark Banker once said. They don't have an athletic director; they have an owner.
Did Banker say that?
Banker.
Banker. Okay, Bonner's interesting, right?
Yeah, another guy. Some Miami players will be here. Cameron Wilson, an edge out of Southridge High School. But Cason Thomas, one of the top players in Iowa from Sioux City, Heelan, which is right on the border of Nebraska. They've been on him for a long time. But another Miami lineman, Ryan Merritt. They've had him here multiple times. This is a guy that I would not be surprised at all if they were able to land a commit from. It just feels like he's very high on Nebraska. I know the Hurricanes are on him, but man, they have shown a lot of interest to the Huskers. But Hayden Ainsworth from Mississippi, another big lineman prospect, and then Rex Waterman, a lineman out of Arizona. And then Luke Sorensen is the tight end prospect that they brought in out of California.
Yeah, he's from Anaheim, and we're going to hear Dayton Raiola talk about his relationship with Luke Sorensen. This is a guy you probably got to pry away from Penn State, is what it looks like. Penn State, is that right, or am I wrong about that? It looks like actually,
well, he's got the West Coast teams, UCLA, USC,
maybe more USC.
He's an Anaheim Servite guy. Servite's one of the top programs, but yeah, this is the first weekend they've had. Official visits just literally started up for Nebraska, and this is a big one for them to kind of see where it goes, because they really haven't had a lot of visitor activity on campus. I mean, the last real visitors that hit campus, were April 26th. So this is a big opportunity for Nebraska now to make a dent with some of these big name targets that are here for the official visits.
This doesn't, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know that on Sunday and Monday we're writing about verbal commitments, right?
Maybe one, you never know. But again, a lot of these guys are just beginning the process.
Right.
But a lot of it is their interest level, obviously what the opportunities are. And you can opportunities, as you know, could be NIL, it could be playing time, it could be a lot of things that are on the table. But then the other visitors, what's the situation with the other schools recruiting some of these guys? And are they going to take other trips? Like, those are the pieces that you have to know. And some guys are say, hey, I'm taking all 4. I'm taking all 5.
Sure.
Then when all of them are done, we'll make our decision. But if you sense that a guy really wants to go to your place, you can kind of squeeze him a little bit and say, hey, we love you, but here's the deal. Like, your spot might be filled. We just want to be honest with you and tell you this right now. And if you want to be a Nebraska player and don't want to risk it, you might want to make a decision sooner rather than later.
Who are you most interested in this weekend? Of these guys,
like Cason Thomas, I just think as a local Iowa guy is a big one. But Brownout, can they keep him?
Keep him, yeah.
And then these offensive linemen. I mean, it's a big weekend for Donovan Raiola.
It is 4 offensive linemen. I'd say I'm most interested in Kelvin Obach because I think they have a great chance to get him. Big time player,
one of the top players in the country,
right? From
Fruitland, Idaho,
right? I've never been up that way.
I've never been to Idaho.
Brownow is gigantic. I mean, it's a huge. Come on, he's a 6'1" corner. That he can do it all. So those guys are, and I'm always interested in the running back. I don't want to gloss over Brian Bonner. I'm always interested in the running back position. I believe that Nebraska has to continue. Sean, they got to get back to getting high-profile guys back there, right?
No doubt. I mean, they need to get a difference maker, and
a difference maker.
What we've seen in history with running backs is usually day one. It's very rare that a guy just develops in like year 3 or 4.
Right.
I mean, when Brandon Jackson literally traveled to Lincoln by Greyhound bus, when he got off the Greyhound,
you could see
like it didn't take long to realize, yep, they got one.
Right. Now, some guys.
Second round draft pick, by the way.
Right. I agree with you. I mean, you knew, for instance, Amon Green, the first time you saw him hit the practice field, that was
even Marlon Lucky. Now, Marlon Lucky didn't maybe have like what people thought the 5-star career was going to be, but he broke records at Nebraska.
He had 1,000 yards in 1 year receiving.
He broke the single season reception record,
right.
And you can say, it was all checkdowns, but it's a record. I mean,
right. I'm not mitigating it. Marlon was a good player. It took Corey Ross a little bit. He's an example of a guy that took a little time, right? But he got really good late in his career. But yeah, no, you're right. Usually you can see him. So watch Bonner. What do you think their chances are with Bonner?
Again, a lot of it's the other opportunities. Like you mentioned, Obot, he's still going to visit Oregon and Michigan after Nebraska.
It's going to be really hey, Sean, it's going to be really tough to get him, but it should be really tough to get him, right?
Yeah, it's a competitive marketplace for these players. Like you mentioned, Brian Bonner, the running back. So he already went to UCLA. He's already been to Washington. It's Nebraska, then Penn State.
Okay. That's who I was. Okay.
So his fourth visit's Penn State.
I don't know why I was thinking Sorensen's that. Sorensen seems awfully important to Dayton.
I mean, he's somebody they've been on for a while. And this is one of the more uniquely built recruiting efforts and classes I've seen at Nebraska, because there's really not there's not a big heavy in-state emphasis.
Mm-hmm.
There's very few bordering state players being emphasized.
Interesting.
Emphasis is more of a national level caliber prospect. And
you got the Millard North linebacker in the class.
Elkhorn North.
Oh God, Sean.
Jace Reynolds.
Oh, Elkhorn North. Yes. And you mentioned this kid they're recruiting out of Sioux City. Now that's bordering.
His mom's from South Sioux, so like he's got Nebraska connection in his family. But yeah, Sorensen, the tight end, he is visiting Nebraska now. Originally, he had an A&M visit scheduled. It kind of got things flipped around, but Penn State and then Texas are later in the month. So On3 doesn't necessarily have him ranked as like one of the top tight ends in the country, but he's being recruited like it. He's being recruited as a high-level tight end. Nobody's got him as a 4-star other than Rivals. Rivals has him as a 4-star, which our recruiting will be Rivals in a few weeks.
Right.
So
hey, this is an interesting group, and there's some high-profile guys walking through here this weekend. Very good, Sean.
All right, let's take it here to headline number 3. But before we do that, again, we're brought to you by our title sponsor of Husker Online Headlines, StayHome.Care. Call them at 402-205-2233 to learn more about their services. Also brought to you by Huel. I could have used a Huel today, Steve Sipple.
You're doing fine, Sean.
On the run, coaching basketball, getting shows, camps ready. Huel's everything you need in one bottle, 35 grams of protein, 27 vitamins and minerals, high fiber, low sugar, comes in several great flavors. And we've got a great promo. If you've never tried Huel with HuskerOnline.com, just go to Huel.com. And as a new customer, use the promo code Husker and you'll get 15% off your order of Huel. Again, it's everything you need. Comes in ready to made bottles, or you can buy the powder and mix your own. Again, that's Huel.com. Use that promo code Husker to receive 15% off your order at Huel.com. But let's welcome in a very special guest. It's been quarterback week here at the Husker Online studios. Yeah. Earlier this week, we heard from 2027 quarterback Trey Taylor. Well, let's bring in the 2026 guy, a guy that we're going to see in Lincoln really in about 6 months. He'll be here full time. Let's welcome in Dayton Raiola, the younger brother of Dylan Raiola, the son of former Husker Dominic Raiola. Dayton, welcome in the studio. It's great to see you. I know you're going to be in Lincoln here, getting after it all weekend.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for having me, bringing me in.
Well, yeah. What you play for a top high school program, so your schedule right now is very intense because Buford's not a program where you miss a workout. You attend every single thing they do, the throwing sessions, the OTAs. But you're here for the weekend. Kind of give us an idea of what your summer schedule's been like.
Yeah, so we just started up our summer workouts this past week. It's a Monday through Thursday type of thing. We had our first OTA on Wednesday at it was at Richwood High School, and Newton was there, so it was a little 3-team OTA. And then this upcoming week, we're actually going down to University of Georgia for a 7-on-7 camp / tournament. And then later in the week on Friday, we're going to Auburn for another 7-on-7 tournament. So
this is almost like a break for you today.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I still try to get a workout in everywhere I go just to make my body feel good. So, but yeah, it is nice to take a break every now and then.
Estimate how many of your Buford teammates are like getting Division I looks and offers.
Looks,
estimate.
I would say everybody has a chance to get a look at Buford High School just because of like who you're surrounded by, and there's always coaches coming through. And then offers, I would say, I mean, maybe 50% of our team, maybe even more than that, just because just the talent that we have there. Just overall, the talent in Georgia is just surreal.
Now, you spent some time in Fort Worth recently, right?
Yes, I did.
What were those workouts like? What was that? How was it set up for you?
So we would start training at about like 9,
Okay.
And so we would normally throw first. So me and Dylan would get our throwing in.
You and Dylan?
Yeah, me and Dylan. So before the receivers came down, we were just throwing, and then we would just have some receivers come and catch for us. And so we'd get our throwing in for maybe an hour, maybe a little bit more. And then we would get either some speed or agility stuff in, and then we would head over to the weight room and finish up in there. And so it was really like a process for like 9 and then finish up maybe like 1, maybe 2 o'clock. So it was long days, but it was really good work.
Yeah.
And after our work was done, then we could go and hit the golf course.
So that was how many? Was that a couple weeks? You say a couple week period?
Yeah, it was about 2 weeks. It was a 2-week period. Yeah.
All right.
Dayton, for you last year was significant because it was your first year as a full-time starter, and,
Right.
and it was a unique situation. The only reason you didn't play or start as a sophomore was your brother
Yeah.
was the starting quarterback. But a lot of you had to win a pretty intense battle to get the job. I mean, there were quarterbacks that obviously moved in to try to win the job after your brother left. You won that job.
Yeah.
What did you gain then from winning the job and then being the guy and obviously having a really good junior season? And how do you think you'll build off that now?
Yeah, I mean, I think just that first couple games as being the starter, I mean, it's always going to be a little nerve-wracking because, like, it's your first game on varsity. Like, we opened up against Milton last year, and they finished as the number 2 team in the country, right?
Yeah.
So that was a tough game to open up with. But, I mean, with all the mistakes that come, you can always learn from it, go back and watch it again and learn from it some more. So, yeah, but then just – that's what it is nowadays with competition. There's always going to be quarterbacks coming and going. So whenever somebody comes in, I'm going to go welcome them, like let them know that if they need anything, I'm here for them. But at the same time, like I'm going to go in and get my work in, and I'm going to get what I need to be done.
Oh, you're always going to compete.
Yes, sir.
Dayton, people ask me all the time, and Sean, this is sort of an amateurish question, but just give me some grace here. People ask me all the time, how's Dayton's game compare and contrast to Dylan's? I mean, in what ways are you similar to Dylan, and what ways are you different?
Yeah, so I mean, I think we both have pretty strong arms, humbly speaking. We both like to throw the deep ball.
Yeah.
And I think the differences between me and him is that I like to use my legs a little bit more.
Okay.
And I mean, I wouldn't say Dylan's afraid of contact, but I think I like contact just a little bit more. Like early on in games, I always like to maybe like throw a block in every now and then just to get some contact, and it settles me down, I think.
That's the Raiola in you, right?
Yeah, I know my dad
was
was a lineman, my uncle was a lineman, so I mean it's in me.
Yeah, trust me, I know your dad really well and your uncle really well.
Now, you've grown a lot too. I mean, it's almost crazy when you see the picture of you and Dylan when you were maybe an 8th or 9th grader to now. I mean, how much have you grown height wise in the last 2-3 years and weight wise? I mean, where are you at height weight going into your senior season?
Yeah, so I think my freshman year I was 5'10", probably around the same weight, like 215. So I was a little more chubby, I would say. And but as I kept growing over the years, kept getting taller, and I tried to just maintain my weight. So right now I'm about 6'2", 6'3". And I'm staying between 210 and 215. That's where I'm comfortable with.
210 and 15. Okay, so here you are at Quarterback Central, the offices of Husker Online.
Yeah.
Why was it important for you to be in Lincoln this weekend?
I just think some of the recruits that are here, specifically Luke, he's a tight end.
Sorensen,
yeah, from California. I think me and him we've got to know each other pretty well, and I saw him at the airport, and I was like, "Oh, what's up, man? Like, good to see you." So me and him, we kind of created a pretty good relationship. And then everybody else that's here, like Rex Waterman, he's an offensive lineman. CJ, he's a DB from Florida. It's just I'm trying to get all those guys. I mean, when I come here, I want guys to come and play here with me that are elite, and those are the type of guys that we need. So I wanted to come up here and show them like it means something to me for them to be up here.
What's your message? Just the Nebraska fans naturally are nervous about recruiting just because it's been slow as far as commits, but this is the first official visit weekend.
Right.
I mean, what's your message to Nebraska fans as far as the push you're going to try to help them make to kind of land? I mean, it's 30 official visitors coming in the next 3 weekends.
Right. I mean, recruiting is a process. Like if somebody commits to another school, yeah, they're committed, but it's a long process all the way until signing day, whenever that is in December. So just you got to be patient because we're doing everything that we can. And even if somebody does decide to go to another school, that doesn't mean we're going to stop pursuing them. There's one person I have in mind. I won't say his name, but I know it's a receiver that I really, really like. And I'm still working on him to get him back out here.
The Raiolas can be pretty influential. I've discovered.
It's a good tandem right there.
Yeah.
Now, are you going to throw at all in these camps at Nebraska this month? Are you going to just show up and kind of get in one? I mean, or is your focus mainly recruiting right now?
It is mainly recruiting, but I mean, I think getting a workout in with the coaches is never going to hurt me. So you might see me pop out there and get some reps in during a camp. I haven't looked at the camp dates. I was just more of like when someone's going to be here and if they need me here or not. So if I'm here and then there's something going on, then I might just jump in and get some reps in.
The thought occurred to me earlier today before you came in. It relates to Trey Taylor too. When we're talking to you, it almost feels like you play for two teams. It's like you don't play for one team anymore.
Yeah.
Not just Buford. It's like you have two teams. Is there a balance you feel like you have to strike?
There is, yeah. I try and keep in touch with everybody that I'm trying to recruit to get to Nebraska. But even back home in Buford, like I see them every day, but even outside of it, like I always check in on them, make sure they're doing good. And then even like hanging out with them, getting that camaraderie going into the season, because I mean, that's really important in high school football, especially like if you're close together with your guys, you know that they can count on you. And that's what's going to help you win football games. So,
what was your record last year?
We were 12-2. 12-2, yeah. We lost to Milton in the opening game, and then we lost to Carrollton in the semifinals.
And you feel like you have a loaded team coming back?
Yeah, we have a lot of guys coming back, but we also have some pretty talented young guys that are just ready to pop. So I'm excited, yeah.
That's really exciting.
Yeah.
What do you think of the 7-on-7 tournament? I mean, do you know much about these teams that are coming in town? Because a lot of these guys obviously are people that maybe aren't on Nebraska's radar yet, but they're trying to get a few. I mean, do you have any familiarity with the programs and players that are in town right now?
I don't. I never really got into the 7-on-7 business or like the club teams. I normally just would use that time to go and like train. So I don't really know much about it. I know it's a big deal. I saw all of the kids coming through today, and they look like some pretty good athletes. So I think I'll stop by over there and just see what's going on.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Are you doing any 7-on-7 at all? I'm not talking about this week, just this summer.
No, not really. Outside of my school, no. But if it's for my school, like we're going to Georgia and Auburn, like I'll do those because it's with my school. Okay. But I probably won't play for like a club team.
What is the value of 7-on-7 in your estimation?
I don't really see any value in it because it's totally different when you got two, 3 or 4 guys coming at you trying to take your head off, you know. And there's a bunch of moving parts in, I say, real football, which is 11-on-11, and 7-on-7. Like you don't have to take a drop if you don't want to, or you can just go from one side of the field to the other side of the field like it's nothing. And you can't do that in real football. So that's why I don't really partake in it. And when I do it with my school, the 7-on-7 stuff, I try and treat it like a real football game. Like I'll go through my progressions, take my drops that I'll actually take. So yeah.
That sounds a lot like something your dad would say.
Yeah.
In a lot more polished, diplomatic way.
Yeah. Me and my dad do have a lot of similarities, that's for sure.
So it's basically street ball football in a lot of respects. I mean, there's a lot more freelancing that, like you said, you can't really translate that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, what kind of relationship, if any, have you gotten to know Trey Taylor very well?
Yeah, I have. I've seen him I think twice the past 2 times I've come up here. He's been up here, and he's really awesome. I'm glad that he's coming, and it's good to have a good strong quarterback room, and I'm excited for us. And
you guys got a room.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
And you're playing on the Polynesian Bowl, right?
Yes, I am.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Out there.
we may be there.
Yeah. We'll have to make you guys make another trip like when Dylan played in it. So
yeah, we're looking forward to that already. So.
Yeah. I'm trying to get some guys that are playing it to come to Nebraska. So hopefully that they're committed and signed.
Get a few more guys.
Yeah, so you can cover them too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun. Just like with Dylan. I mean,
yeah, he had Carter and Preston out there with him. So.
Oh, it was super fun.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, Dayton, we appreciate you stopping up. I know you got a busy schedule with visitors and camps and everything going on, but looking forward to seeing you hopefully throw and be a part of the weekend here.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Good job, Dayton.
Thanks again to Dayton Raiola for joining us here. And before we take it to headline 4, again, we're brought to you by the title sponsor, StayHome.Care. Call them at 402-205-2233. Learn more about them and their services they can offer you. We're also brought to you by Ridge. And look, it's Father's Day. It's right around the corner. You might still be looking for that gift for your dad or that loved one in your life. And no better gift to give them than a product from Ridge. It's not just wallets. They've got a lot of other high quality products like keychains and other really durably built wallets. But really what they do is they help you organize. I've got 2 Ridge wallets now. One of the metal titanium case that can just fit in your front pocket with 12 cards in there. It's got a cash strap on it. And I also have their slimmed down, more traditional wallet. And I really like that one. It's a traditional leather wallet, but it's slimmed down where, you can still fit 12 cards in it, but it allows you to really organize and maximize. And with Ridge, they've got their best deal going on right now for Father's Day. You'll get up to 40% off right now. All you need to do is go to ridge.com/Husker. That's ridge.com/Husker. And you'll get 40% off, up to 40% off on your purchase with Ridge. Thanks to Ridge for sponsoring us here on Husker on the Headlines. But what day is it, Steve Sipple?
Flashback Friday.
It's Flashback Friday. And Flashback Friday today takes us to the 2008 season.
God, you love these.
To the New Year's Day, January 1 Gator Bowl.
The Gator Bowl.
Played in Jacksonville, Florida, as Nebraska took on little-known head coach Dabo Swinney. And, we wanted to talk about this because of Ndamukong Suh. This week, Ndamukong Suh is officially on the ballot to be in the College Football Hall of Fame. So, let's do a Suh game, but not the obvious one, not the Texas game. And we thought this game really meant a lot because I think the Colorado game before, that win over Colorado, is what advanced Nebraska to get to this New Year's Day Bowl game against Clemson. But then you really saw in this Gator Bowl what Suh was going to become as a player. And we got that full version of Suh in 2009.
Yeah, he was. I mean, for one thing, they kind of shut down Clemson in the second half. Clemson was ahead. Nebraska wins the game 26-21. Did you say? But trailed 14-3 at half. So Nebraska really had to dig in defensively. It did. It was Suh. It was also, remember Eric Haig came up huge in that game late. Had a batted pass, then a 16-yard sack. But yeah, Suh, you just saw him starting to beat guys up in the middle of the field, right?
It was a Clemson team too that had James Davis and CJ Spiller at running back.
They weren't too bad.
And
they weren't too bad.
I mean,
that was a 7-5 Clemson.
They were pros though.
Yeah, they had some pros.
I mean, 2 pro running backs, and then they had Jacoby Ford at receiver.
Yep.
And he was a pro.
I mean, he was good. He was a big. They had a good rush in too.
But they had a really athletic defensive front. But they had so little respect, I remember, in that game for Nebraska's receivers. I mean, Nebraska had Todd Peterson and Nate Swift, and they played basically cover zero, where it was just corner on those guys. And Joe Gans was able to find just simple man beaters to get those guys going late in that game.
Well, they both caught touchdown passes late in the game
because Clemson showed zero respect for the Nebraska receivers.
Swift caught a 17-yard touchdown pass and Peterson a 6-yard touchdown pass.
And those guys were able to take advantage of how Clemson decided to cover them, and Joe Gans got it out. I always remember that game too. Joe Gans got a concussion.
Oh, kept playing though.
Patrick Witt
came in for one
play and almost fumbled it. And then they reviewed it, and Nebraska kept possession. But Joe Gans, he's told this story, so I'm not like,
you're fine,
breaking any news here. But he was concussed, like he didn't know where he was at.
Ouch.
And they had to give him kind of like the finger test, and Zach Lee stood behind the trainers, former quarterback Zach Lee, and started like giving Joe the signals or saying what things were to help him, and he passed, and he goes back in the game, and they won the game.
Yeah, and they again trailed 14-3 at half, so they had to make a comeback. Oh, by the way, we should mention Alex Henry kicked 4 field goals in that game. I'd forgotten that. You mentioned Dabo. Now, what I remember about it very well, Sean, it was again, I don't want to blow up Clemson. They were okay. They were 7-5 going in. What I remember vividly is going to a Clemson practice and thinking as I watched them, they are not. This was before Clemson got really good, and their offensive line was not what like a Nebraska writer would be used to. Very little, not very
just sloppy looking guys.
That's exactly what I was going for.
You didn't want to be blunt.
Right.
Well,
John, they look kind of sloppy.
Hey, Clemson was 3 of 16 on third down.
You said it. That's amazing. I didn't want to say that, but yeah, I remember whoever I was with, I was like, God, what? They're not any bigger than that up front. Say that again.
They were 3 of 16 on third down, and Nebraska was 7 of 19. So that was a big difference in that game. The third down efficiency, Nebraska out-yarded them 361 to 210. But it was an ugly, for Bo at that time, that was a big win.
It was a bit. Well, it was his first year, and
it got him to 9 wins.
Yeah, that year. Remember, Nebraska won 6 of its last 7 games. Now Clemson came in there on a bit of a heater too. I think they'd won 3 of their last 4, but those were 2 teams that are playing pretty well at the end. So yeah, and again, I want to emphasize Haig. Okay, so what was happening? You'll remember this. The Clemson had a chance to go ahead late with less than 2 minutes remaining. It was 26-21. Haig, you remember Eric Haig, right, from Arizona?
Oh, hell yeah.
Batted down a pass on first down and then sacked Colin Harper for a 16-yard loss on the next play. I remember that very well. I remember writing about Haig. Haig came up huge late in that game. It's Sue. And who else was on the line? Was there a Steinkühler on that line?
Ty Steinkühler.
Yeah, Ty Steinkühler's on that line.
Ty
was.
Well,
I don't know about Crick, but I remember Ty vividly in that game.
Well, Crick was on that team.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was Zach Potter and Barry Turner.
Okay. See, that's pretty good, Sean.
I mean, they had a good line up front.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the 08 team had a lot of players on defense.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 09, I felt like that game was really needed to kind of push them through. And then you really saw what Sue was, and you're like, man, this guy could be really special. And he could have been a first rounder if he left in 08. And the Pellinis convinced him to stay. They're like, hey, you'll be like pick 26 right now if you get out. We get it. Let's make you like pick number 1 or 2.
And it worked.
And it stay.
It worked.
And, he went on to have, people still call it the best individual season of a defensive player in the modern day history of college football.
Yeah, you're right. This was a good Flashback Friday because you kind of nailed it. It was Sue, and Sue in a lot of ways represented momentum in the program. The program had started to pick up momentum in this season.
Well, and then that game led to the 09 season. What did the 09 season lead to? An invite to where? The Big Ten.
Oh, that's right. They needed this
stuff.
They needed this stuff.
The 08 game with the 09 season in Sioux boosted Nebraska enough to say for the Big Ten to say, yep, this is Nebraska.
It boosted its profile.
And we're taking them.
Right.
If it's right now, is the Big Ten taking Nebraska right now?
I don't know.
I don't know that. I don't know that.
It's kind of a scary conversation. And I don't think we've ever said this, but you kind of got to give Pelini some credit for getting the program right.
To get the invite.
Right. I don't know why we've never.
Even though he didn't really want the invite.
You don't have to qualify it. He didn't want to go to the Big Ten. His roster was not built for the Big Ten. I try to impart that to people all the time. They didn't have the bigs, essentially, especially at linebacker. They were playing in the Big 12. They're playing all these spread teams. Sean.
Well, Nebraska, when they would play a Big Ten team randomly in like one bowl game here and there, like they could be built for that.
Right.
But 8 or 9 games of that's a different deal.
Let's just put it this way. And I know this is not, when we talk about this stuff, we're not talking like we kind of know. I used to talk to Bo about it all the time. The Big Ten thing would just caused a lot of tension with Bo because he knew he didn't have the roster. He knew the Big Ten. He grew up in the Big Ten.
Yeah, and that was pre-Urban Meyer, Jim Harbaugh Big Ten. I mean, when Nebraska walked in the Big Ten, it was not a great league yet.
No, and I want to be clear. It wasn't that he was scared of it. It was that he knew the team wasn't built for it on defense, and then they'd have to make it happen very quickly. So it was just a lot of tension. It was always interesting. I'll never forget the dichotomy of the excitement that like we had. Nebraska's going to go into Big Ten. The fans had. Then I talked to Bo, and he wouldn't even want to talk about it.
He barely made himself available.
Yeah, on the day they announced.
Yeah, he didn't want to speak about it.
No, he didn't really want to. And then there was God bless whoever the reporter was. tossed him sort of a lighthearted, funny question. And I literally saw Bo kind of take a deep breath and laugh. And I was like, thank God for that reporter, whoever that was.
Those are always awkward moments with Bo, because like you never knew if he was gonna laugh or just like storm out.
That reporter has no idea how important that lighthearted question at that Big Ten announcement press conference was. I'll always remember, because I was sitting there going, "Oh, Bo's not. This is not good." But then it lightened him up, and then it went well from there.
Well, but then by like 2011 and 12, I mean, Bo kind of had his eyes on the Ohio State job. He thought when they had the situation before Urban took the job, like he thought he was in line.
I don't know that. Now you might have information I don't. I don't know. I don't know that Ohio State was ever interested in Bo.
Well, he was.
Maybe. I don't know.
I mean, well,
I
remember the audio tape with the Greg Sharp interview after that article where it got leaked, the post-game show where, he kind of said he hinted about leaving.
Yeah. Now I will tell you this, and I don't think Bo would mind me saying this. He never seemed interested in the Ohio State job to me.
Oh, I always thought he was from other people.
You might know. You might know something I don't. I always got the impression from Bo he wasn't interested. Didn't want to go back there.
I don't think people realized though Urban Meyer was going to come and play.
Right.
Like, because you remember Tressel got forced out for a bogus deal.
Right. Tattoo gate.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about it now, guys were given
it wasn't bogus then, though.
They were giving away their jerseys in exchange for tattoos.
That's pretty ridiculous. Come on. It's pretty ridiculous. When
Luke Fickell took over.
Okay.
And then that's when Urban came in the next year.
Yeah. And that was kind of a surprise.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if people thought after the Florida deal with Urban's health issues that he was going to get right back into it.
No, that's right. You're right.
And so it played out uniquely.
Wow. Flashback Fridays are beautiful.
But yeah, that 08 Gator Bowl game really was important to kind of propel Nebraska for 09, which led to Sue's 09, which in my opinion was a driving force to boost Nebraska to the Big Ten enough where they're like, yeah, we want this team. And then they were in the Big Ten before the 2010 season started.
Yep. How much had we been to Jacksonville before that?
That was our first bowl game there. Then Nebraska went back there and played Georgia.
Right. But this was our first.
I remember we were really lucky during the week how nice it was.
Jacksonville.
It was like in the 80s.
I always like going to Jacksonville because it's a huge landmass city, one of the biggest in America. So the traffic's not too bad. Huge landmass.
Well, you can stay in the city or stay on the beach.
Yeah, we stayed in the city.
We stayed on the beach.
Oh, you stayed in the beach?
Yeah, we stayed at the Sawgrass Marriott.
Oh, yes. We did it first, then we moved downtown.
And then the beach, it was like right there by the hotel.
It's a nice bowl. It was
great. Yeah, Robin and we had a great week.
Yeah, I've heard those stories. Those were great trips. That was fun. They beat Clemson. They beat Dabo. No idea. We had no idea then that Dabo Swinney would become what he is now. No idea. He was just a receivers coach that we questioned why they hired him.
Yeah, your initial impression of Dabo was this is just the guy before the next guy.
Right. Just like kind of a goofy receivers coach.
And now he's one of the longest tenured coaches in the game after Kirk Ferentz.
Yeah, he's had remarkable success.
After Kirk Ferentz, I mean, he might be, I don't know what it is at now, but he's got to be one of them.
Yeah, and think about it. I mean, there's some people picking Clemson. Everybody's picking.
The guy at Utah, Whittingham.
Yeah, I was going to say, most people are picking Clemson to reach the playoff. Some think they can win the national.
And he's still not taking a lot of transfers.
He's delved into it more, though, Sean.
Yeah, he's got his feet wet more, but they got a real chance, Clemson, this year.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, before we go to headline 5, again, brought to you by the title sponsor, StayHome.Care. They're there for you, your loved ones. Call them at 402-205-2233. Learn more about them, the services they can do for you and your family. Simple things, cooking, cleaning, laundry, rides to doctor's appointments, you name it, or just simple companionship. If you've got someone that is alone and needs somebody that can just stop in for a couple hours a day and be with that person to help, call them at 402-205-2233. Thanks to StayHome.Care, the title sponsor of the HuskerOnline Headline Show. But we're going to odds and ends, Mr. Sipple, and I want to go first with baseball because I believe the number now is up to 10 portal entries for Nebraska baseball.
10. And
just on the naked eye, from if you don't follow it closer, you're like, this is pretty alarming. But when you delve into the portal entries, the big one is Caden Brumbaugh.
Brumbaugh, yeah.
He's got 1 year left. He transferred to Nebraska from Oklahoma State. And, this is a guy that's going to attract some interest. And rumor his brother is going to Arkansas. So there's speculation that he could go to Arkansas as well for 1 year. But the 9 other ones all make some sense. And, some of this is just standard force attrition. I think they have to make some room on this roster because they have more players than they have spots heading into next year.
They didn't have the kind of year they wanted. So some of this is a result of that. Something wasn't exactly right. So when that happens, you half expect something like this. Also, I mean, aren't you, Sean? Aren't you just kind of past the point of being surprised when stuff like this happens?
Right. And
come on.
But
this is 2025.
The year was kind of band-aided by the conference tournament championship.
Now that was significant. I don't want to say it wasn't.
The numbers didn't lie as far as like the hitting numbers. I mean, this team struggled in key hitting situations at times. They didn't have a lot of hitters over 300 in their lineup.
This is a team that chased 500, then got to 500, but never, just finished a little above 500. Sean, it's a 500 team.
Battled the injuries with Mason McConaughey, Jackson Brockett. They had some key injuries to some.
Well, McConaughey being the biggest, he was the ace, and when you lose your ace. I mean, I'm not going to listen. Sometimes I'm that guy that says, come on, man, you lose players. You lose your ace. Friday starter, it's pretty significant. It affects a lot of things. I like the way you put it. The Big Ten tournament was kind of a Band-Aid. And Sean, didn't you expect maybe that there'd be some momentum going into the regional, which there wasn't.
Then the reality kind of showed back up of what the team was. I mean, they just looked mismatched against Oklahoma. And,
right.
and the errors they made were disappointing in the second game, the first inning, 3 errors. But third game of the second Oklahoma game.
Right.
But the other entries of note, Cale Frost went in, and he was the Summit League Player of the Year. Didn't work out. Just didn't
hit 21 home runs at South Dakota State.
Hit 7 here,
right?
But just didn't materialize like we thought.
Nope. 222 hitter, Sean.
Robbie Bolin went in the portal, Kansas native. Another guy that was a key player on this team. But I think what we saw this year, Will Bolt wants better. He wants this roster and this team to be more competitive because they're going against Oregon now. They're going against UCLA. They're going against USC. They've got
even Washington,
and they've got to get up to snub to compete with where this Big Ten's going.
100.
And then Riley Silva was the latest entry.
He's senior, right?
Yeah. So he's got it
gets confusing, right?
Yeah. When seniors that enter, he can get another year of eligibility.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at Silva. He played a lot for Nebraska.
He was a shortstop, Sean.
But Silva's numbers, in 117 games, he's a career 267 hitter. So, not great, not bad. Just kind of a solid player for Nebraska. And they're really shuffling things up with some of these roster spots.
Well, what you just said is probably part of the issue. Not great, not bad. They have a lot of those players. I'm just going to be very frank. It's not now. Me and you we don't go over to the games, but we follow it closely. I'm a big fan of Will Bull. I pushed hard for Will to get that job, and I think Will's a very good coach. But they got to, Will would be the first one to tell you we got to do better. Now, Will's been to NCAA regional play 3 of the last 5 years. That's not bad. They had to sneak in this year, though. So listen, Will wants Nebraska to be very good. This is his alma mater. This is all very important to him. So let's just see what happens next year.
And Will can't just say, hey, let's just go status quo and play it again and see what happens.
No, but you're smart, and we've talked off air. You're smart about the climate. He's dealing with conferences that can go buy players at high prices. Can Nebraska do that, Sean?
Right. And
can they?
No,
not really. No.
I mean, the SEC and the ACC to an extent, and maybe even Oregon and the Big Ten now can do that. I mean, there's probably 15 baseball programs in America that can be aggressive, and Nebraska and the Big Ten is not really in a position where They're going to, a lot of schools, if any, are going to do any rev share money to baseball.
So don't you sort of cringe a little bit when, see, this is the issue to me. I cringe a little bit when they get to the NCAA tournament and oh gosh, now they got to play an SEC team, a team from the Southeastern Conference. Why? Because look what happened when they played Florida in the regionals 2 years ago, last year, whenever that was. What did you see? A mismatch. I mean, they had Caglianone.
Good job.
I tried. They had other guys though. They had other guys though, and you were like, it doesn't look.
We were watching it
right
on a phone in Texas from our car. Remember, and it was like, whoa.
right. You don't want that. I think Oklahoma, obviously, there was a mismatch.
The game of baseball has changed a lot for Nebraska since coming in the Big Ten. We can't deny it. The data, and then now it's changed even more with the rev share.
He's up against it.
And, if you're in the Big Ten, if you're an athletic director, football and basketball, clearly you got to give rev share. But what's your next sports? Volleyball and wrestling.
Yes.
In the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Premier Wrestling League, Premier Volleyball League. So those leagues or those sports are going to, and at most Big Ten schools, if there's additional rev share money, they're going to be the benefiters of it.
Now, what would benefit baseball would be if there's a huge booster, right?
That just steps up.
That just steps up with thousands of dollars.
And look, Haymarket Park, it's a wonderful park, but it is older now. There's some facility things over there that need to get addressed. And I know Dannon has said that it's they need to get the locker rooms and the clubhouses. And
well, I think Nebraska, we've never talked about this, but Nebraska would like an artificial turf over there, field turf.
Well, they have it now at the new Sandhills Global Complex.
Right, but not at Haymarket.
And I don't think the Salt Dogs would put field turf in for the Salt Dogs to play on.
No, they wouldn't.
No, I mean, you don't play professional baseball on field turf.
No. Jim Abel will fight that. Jim Abel's the owner of the Salt Dogs. He'll fight that very hard. He will not allow field turf.
And Haymarket Park, when it was built, was an elite ballpark for college baseball. And Nebraska needed the partnership it had to get that park built.
It was elite.
It was the city of Lincoln, the Nebco Abel family, and then Nebraska. They split the deal 3 ways. But now, if you were doing it over in this era, ideally you'd like Nebraska to have their own park that they controlled, where they could have suites and club seating and tailgating experiences that they sell,
like Arkansas.
Yeah, and that's the one other revenue piece that they have a hard time doing here because they don't control the ballpark.
Right? Would you say it's still elite?
I'd say
we don't really know, but
I'd say it's up there, but it's no longer in the SEC level. And there's like Tennessee's and A&M's and Texas's. I mean, Oregon, they're different level ballparks.
Yeah. So Will's got to think about all that stuff. He's trying. I mean, Will wants to be in a super regional. He wants to have that moment that he enjoyed, right, as a player with Seeley and those guys. That's what he hungers for. But the climate's way different now. They were in the Big 12 then. They had access to talent, to more talent. It's changed.
Yeah, realignment in general has really affected the sport of baseball.
We've seen it play out.
And play out. But yeah, other than that, not a lot of other odds and ends. What else you got going?
Well, we're going to cover a lot of football. Not a ton.
The Huddle recruiting events going on too.
We should give voice to that.
And that there's over 20 young 4- and 5-star level players here for that.
Trey Taylor's going over to that.
Trey Taylor will be there and some other national players.
It's a summit.
It's kind of one of those weekends where, I mean, there's like so much going on. I mean, you're going to have a hard time keeping up with it.
Well, we tried today and we got, we had another quarterback in here, Dayton Raiola. So we had the 2 young guns in here this week, which is the highlight of our week.
So
was that fun?
It's a great week. 2 quarterbacks Monday through Friday.
Yeah, thanks to Dayton for taking time. His brother dropped him off. Dylan.
Yeah, Dylan was out waiting in the parking lot for him. Like a good brother.
Yeah, they came speeding up here, right on time. God bless them. So yeah, it was fun. It's fun so far, Sean.
Well, stay on Husker Online. We'll have complete coverage of all of the recruiting visitors this weekend, as well as the Boneyard 7-on-7 event and the Huddle Recruiting Summit. For Steve Sipple, I'm Sean Callahan signing off for Husker Online Headlines.